Um, my next question is, what's the greatest limitation that you had to overcome, that you maybe didn't think you could overcome, and yet you did? How did you like find the will to make that happen?
Right. I think for me, I have often relied on perfectionism and being a people pleaser to kind of make myself stand out and to shine. And I had to accept both lack of perfection, and I had to accept that I wasn't going to make every single person happy with every decision I made. And that's actually an uncomfortable place for me. But I mentioned that there's kind of a mantra that I learned about and that really resonated with me of be brave, not perfect. An author, Reshma Sarjani, actually authored a book in that title. And I think calling on that mantra for me was something I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do. Before I became the US and partner lead on board the space station, I actually would oftentimes give myself coaching and pep talks saying, hey, it's okay for you to be assertive and to state a position that might not be 100% popular. I do value consensus and relationships, but I also knew that there were going to be instances where I had to bring up uncomfortable situations, and I did that. And in some instances, I had crew members that I had to have those difficult conversations with come back and thank me for those conversations. And in fact, even refer to them months later, saying it was, in some cases, like a turning point. So I was, of all the missteps I may have had, that was one area that may have been the most difficult for me, but that I felt like by the end I had achieved some concrete examples of overcoming.
Along the way, do you think that you were treated any differently as a female astronaut in comparison to your male counterparts?
Well, there's so many aspects to that. There are a lot of built-in things that discriminate against, in some cases, the physical size of, a typical female versus the typical male. A great example of that is the spacesuits. So, and the fact is, there is not a size small spacesuit. When I go on a spacewalk, I'm operating in a spacesuit that is a size too big for me. And so kind of a lot of the things that surround that, oftentimes we were set up with an expectation that a training would be more difficult for us, oftentimes because of things like equipment, like poorly sized spacesuits, but sometimes just because there was an assumption that it would be more difficult for us. That being said, some people took that as motivation to be even greater and to try even harder at it. And some people found it as not as helpful. But either way, I would say that overall, NASA has worked toward a culture of making sure that we were taught that the expectation level for us achieving, even in things like spacewalking that have that, the disparity that I mentioned earlier, we were taught that we were not only going to participate, but be great. And I think that that's a real change in how the training had been conducted in the past. And it really has played out, because in my class of astronauts, every single female is not only minimally qualified, but superbly qualified to do spacewalks. And the ones that have flown have already done spacewalks. So to me, it's a real testament that when you change the culture, you change the outcome.
Well, I guess all we need to do is have women design the spacesuits and you'll be all set.
That is the case for the next generation spacesuit. So I'm happy to say that our next spacesuit has a full range of sizes, and it has, mobility in mind. So I can't wait till we're using that one.
Well, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you. And thank you to the folks at SAS for making this possible, and look forward to seeing you on your next flight.
Thank you so much, Roberta. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.